on News 5 Live. Belize's healthcare professionals get the first COVID-19 vaccine doses. A mother loses her fourth son to gun violence. An elderly couple prays for the men who robbed them. And there is good news and bad news for cruise tourism. These stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Flying is fun, but it can also be dangerous. Fly kites safely by following these tips. Never use wire, metallic thread, or wire-reinforced strings. You could be electrocuted. Remember, even a safely built kite can cause a power outage if it gets caught in a power line. Always use paper, plastic, or wood to build kites. Never fly kites near power lines, in the path of traffic, aircrafts, or near highways. Always fly kites with a responsible adult in open areas, in dry weather, and with clear visibility. Never attempt to remove your kite from a power line. Always call BEL at 0800-235-2273 if your kite gets caught in a power line. Belize Electricity Limited. We care about your safety.
Started getting ready for Easter yet? If not, to get the cash you need to hit the road, take a sip, and kick your feet up for your Easter adventures, apply online at quickstoponline.com or head on over to your nearest Quickstop branch for the cash you need. As a first-time customer, enjoy your holidays with no payments until April. Offer ends March 31st. So let's get you Easter ready with a no-hassle loan from Quickstop Personal Finance Center.
Belizeans will once again go to the polls on March 3rd for Municipal elections 2021. Channel 5 will bring you all-day live coverage from all 9 municipalities. Our nationwide correspondents and in-studio analysts will provide you with up-to-date reports and commentary from 6 a.m. until the last vote is counted and results declared. Municipal elections 2021, Wednesday, March 3rd, live on Channel 5 and on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live from Monday, March 1st. I am Marlene Cuellar. The vaccine rollout exercise for the country began today. Unlike other countries where government leaders are among the first to be vaccinated, for Belize, it was frontline healthcare workers from COVID-19 units. News 5's Dwayne Moody was there for the first shots.
It was a historic moment today at the House of Culture in Belize City as the country made it one step closer to achieving herd immunity from the deadly COVID-19 pandemic. A trio of frontline healthcare workers received their first dose of the AstraZeneca's vaccine as the government commences its rollout plan. A total of 500 frontline employees who work within COVID-19 units within public and private medical institutions will be administered the vaccine in this first bout.
We're looking first at our healthcare workers, persons over 60 years and above, and those with special conditions. That will be in our phase 1. In phase 2, we have our teachers, police officers, and we also have in our phase 2 the tourism sector. I want to make clear that with the arrival of the 100,800 vaccines, we will be able to vaccinate more persons in the different phases at an earlier time.
These 1,000 doses of vaccines were a donation from the government of Barbados to Belize. It has been confirmed that 100,800 additional vaccines will arrive in Belize by the end of March, early April. These are being procured from the regional COVAX facility.
In regards to the vaccine that we will be administering, AstraZeneca, the effectiveness overall is 70.4%. The storage that is required for the vaccine is at room temperature +2 +8. And we did an assessment of our cold chain, and the result is that we have a robust cold chain installed in country.
Not everyone is on board with the vaccinations. A recent survey showed that only 53% of healthcare workers have agreed to be vaccinated. Undeterred and in an effort to set the example, as a survivor of COVID-19 himself, Prime Minister John Briceno emphasized that he does intend to get vaccinated.
As Prime Minister, when my turn comes, I will get vaccinated, but I prefer others to go before me. I was just mentioning to the Minister, to Minister Shebat, just on Saturday I took an antigen test, and it showed that I have my antibodies are very high. So it would be best than somebody take my turn, because I don't think I need it at this time. I rather others would take the vaccine so that we could protect them.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Even as the rollout was happening this morning, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Immigration announced it too has succeeded in acquiring a donation. They say that 25,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses are being given to Belize by the government of India. This shipment is expected to arrive on March 6th. While a larger list of priority groups for the vaccine rollout was shared today, Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, Anthony Mahler, told the media over the weekend that 8,000 tourism stakeholders will be vaccinated when Belize receives its first allocation of AstraZeneca vaccine from COVAX. Minister Mahler says that this will help to reassure international visitors that Belize is safe.
An important thing with the support of the Prime Minister, I think, and as we focus on more health, the health standards within the industry and in the entire country, is that we want to vaccinate at least 8,000 frontline tourism stakeholders, which means that we can signal to the world that we're a safe destination as we move and start to roll out the vaccination. So that will be important for us, and we've gotten a commitment from the Prime Minister that at least 8,000 tourism frontline stakeholders will be vaccinated.
So many families in Belize have lost loved ones to violence. But for one Belize City mother, the cycle just never ends. Today, News 5 spoke with Irene Wallace, who has had 4 of her sons murdered, with the most recent on Friday night. Reporter Andrea Polanco has more in the following story.
2004, the first one was Charles Wallace Jr. 2005 was Andrew Wallace. 2016 was Michael Wallace. And now, 2021, Philip Wallace. So I don't know who next. But believe you me, I think I have to be the gunman after this. I think so. Because then I got nothing to lose, because my picnic that dead.
When Philip Wallace left his home in Regis Street Friday evening, his mother had no idea that would be the last time she would see him alive. Irene Wallace heard the gunshots that took her son's life just before 8 o'clock. Philip Wallace was standing here at this alley at the intersection of Crawl Road and Haines Street in Belize City when he was shot dead.
I watched my phone when I heard a gunshot. 7:42. My next son, Robert, Robert my bail, and Robert come and he tell his stepfather, he said, Dad, that gunshot? So his stepfather tell him, yes, that gunshot. And I tell him, I say, honey, I said that gunshot, right? He said, yes. So I tell him like this, I say, that are close to home. I tell him like this, I feel weak. And then when he get to a call and say that it's Papi they shot, I start to bawl out, I scream out, I feel my whole chest like it just want to bust open.
Irene Wallace says she doesn't know why her son was killed. She has heard, however, that there may have been an incident earlier that day.
Everybody tell me one misunderstanding may happen in Accra Road the same Friday morning, but my son never know about it, and that mean anybody where they find from this area me going down. Right? That after the incident when they tell me about it. My message to the people that will kill my son, on keep on run. Run, I want to run. Right? And just like how I hurt, I can't even eat. Maybe like I just catch one meal for the day. Right? I dizzy, I don't tremble, but they don't know what they do to me and my family.
The pain of gun violence has now visited Irene Wallace's home on Reggae Street for the 4th time. Her first son was killed in 2004, and now her 4th was killed Friday night. It's a trail of tragedy that has left this mother grieving and feeling hopeless. But she says it's not because of a lack of trying.
This is the 4th. I don't know who else.
Why do you think your sons have become target?
I have no idea. I have no idea because a lot of times they send threat boat and threat boat and threat boat. You see it? I have no idea because I don't want mother, me no sway for my picnic, right? And if they're wrong, they're wrong. People that want to say, oh, the parents and different things. Parents don't got nothing for doing nothing. I try my best to bring up my children the best way I could, right? I try my best, I talk to them, but then you can't move everywhere, picnic move, mom.
As well as to lose 4 sons to gun violence, how do you reconcile with something like this? How do you live and process something like this?
Mom, it's not easy. I feel like I'll be next because I don't feel like I could stay strong like this and things like that, but I try. People that say, oh, Miss Wallace was strong, but then they don't know the hurt. They don't know that at night time, they sleep. I don't know, like, I just want to scream out to the world, right? But then if I do that, I might be the one next in the morgue.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
What should have been a peaceful sleep early Sunday morning became a nightmare for a couple in the Cayo district when intruders woke them up demanding money. But as News 5's Isani Caetano found out, the retired missionaries relied on their faith to survive the ordeal and intend to pray for their assailants.
It was wonderful how the Lord was with me because I wasn't fearful. And they said, which one of you guys want to die? Because you're going to tell us where the money is. I said, me. I said, me, I'm it.
77-year-old Beatrice Smith and her husband were fast asleep inside their home in Tea Kettle Village on Sunday morning when several armed thieves entered. The elderly woman was startled when the light inside her bedroom was suddenly turned on.
They came right in with 2 shotguns, and I guess there's 4 guys. 3 came in, but there were some in the other bedrooms going through the stuff. I thought it was like, this is a nightmare. That can't be happening.
In the dead of night, the couple was bound at the wrists. Their mouths were also duct-taped. The men who broke in wasted no time rifling through their belongings. They also demanded money.
Police is investigating this matter and are following several leads. 2 persons so far have since been detained pending this investigation.
Notwithstanding the presence of a watchman in a guard hut at the rear of the property, the men breached a faulty back door and proceeded to disarm the surveillance cameras that were installed inside the living room.
I mean, it's amazing how fast they can go. But they turned off our internet and undone all the cameras in the house. first thing.
The Smiths moved to Belize 35 years ago from the United States and were doing missionary work across the country before retiring in the Cayo district. In the face of a brazen home invasion, during which a shotgun was pointed at her, Beatrice's faith is strong. She has prayed for her attackers. Her husband, who is hearing impaired, sat on the bed next to her.
I said, you know, Jesus really loves you, and it's really sad to see you young men. And then I went on to tell them, and then and they said, but we don't sin. Only he said that Adam was the one that was sin, not them. You know, this kind of stuff. And they said, we know about Jesus more than you do, or something like that. And I said, well, that's awesome, thank you. And but anyhow, they kept, you know, pulling on me and kicking me to tell them, you know, more. And I told them, I said, you can do whatever you want to, but you've got all that we're going to give you.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
Municipal elections are less than 2 days away, and an attempt by the United Democratic Party and its chairman, Michael Parafit, and citizen Melbourne Wade to stop PUP Mayor Bernhard Wagner from running a second time will have to wait for a later date. That's because Justice Sonia Young adjourned the matter after both parties agreed that the documents for the case were not properly served upon Mayor Wagner to appear in court.
There was an amendment in 2008, and I think that the law was complete, and I think that the law is very clear that to be a candidate for the Belize City Council elections, you must have resided in Belize City for at least 1 year, ordinarily resident in Belize City, at least 1 year preceding the date of the election. So for us, the legislation is very clear, the facts are very clear, but again, the court will decide. Ultimately, what arguments are presented by his attorneys and what arguments are presented by the Elections and Boundaries Department as to why they accepted his application, I cannot say, but those are the facts of which I know.
But this is his second time around. He has run out already and he has won. Why no?
I think I've mentioned this in a previous interview, and I admitted so, that I personally did not even know that this was the position of the legislation. I can tell you that immediately upon the legislation was brought to us, because of somebody else who was disqualified because of where exactly they resided. And when that was brought to our attention, we reviewed the legislation, and it was our opinion that he should be disqualified. But this matter is of such importance that we felt that it has to go before the court of law so that the court can make a determination. I think that you alluded to it, that there is some confusion, there might be some and general confusion. I've seen it all over the internet where persons talk about, oh, well, if a person is registered at one location, why can they run for certain locations? Not understanding that the laws are very unique for every municipality. And in fact, the laws as it pertains to municipal elections is completely different than the law as it pertains to general elections. And we want for us to obey the law. That is what we've said essentially, that we must obey the law.
The problem was that the papers were served not on Mayor Wagner himself, but on someone at the reception area. Ellington told News 5 today that while they thought that Wagner had been properly served, they agreed to move on with the judge's ruling. Ellington also felt that come April 19th, when the case is called, the UDP has a strong argument to put forth on the legitimacy of Wagner's nomination. They feel that Wagner's nomination was illegitimate because his place of residence that he has on the ballot paper is in Los Lagos, which is a community outside of the jurisdiction in which he is seeking re-election. The case was presented virtually by the attorneys. Appearing on behalf of Mayor Wagner was Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith. Wagner declined to comment when he stepped out of the courtroom today. And PUP Secretary General Linsford Castillo said they would not offer any comment because the matter is still before the court. As we said earlier, Justice Young will rule on the matter on April 19th. Just ahead, a Placencia couple is arrested following reports by a young woman who says she's the victim of human trafficking.
Start your year with a win with Bellikin and its new promotion, Papa Stopper. Yes, sir. Every time you pop one stopper off our Bellikin, make sure you check under the crown. If you see one bottle shape, you win one free Bellikin. If you see one ball, you win $20. If you see one star, you win $100. And once you see one diamond, you win $1,000. Sure, Bellikin again, you know. Papa Stopper. When you pop a stopper off a Bellikin, check to see if you're a winner. You can collect your free beer or $20 cash prize at the store nearest to you. If you win $100 or $1,000, redeem your prize at the nearest B&B sales center.
Promotion is valid until Saturday, March 27th or while supplies last.
Papa Stopper!
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
Congratulations to our Bellikin Papa Stopper winners today. Continue popping those stoppers off of Bellikin for a chance to win free beer, $20, $100, or $1,000.
Papa Stopper!
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
Yo, Griga! Make sure you do the right thing, you know. Vote for Team Robert Mariano.
Don't know.
They want different thing, right? So make we vote PUP. In this election, we have vote for the right man. A man for Griga. We have vote for a brand new mayor. We have vote Mariano. Vote Robert Mariano. Vote Mariano. Vote PUP. Camo. Austin Padillo. Camo. Harris Valentine. Camo. Sean Flores. Camo. Howard Flores. Camo. Martha Robinson. Camo. Liberato Teul. Camo. PUP. Mariano will work closely with our central government. Oh yes, he will.
On Wednesday, 3rd March 2021, voters of the 9 municipalities will have an opportunity to elect the members to constitute their councils. On your ballot, it is your decision and choice. Exercise it. Be assured that the COVID-19 protocols will be in place for your safe voting. Let your decision be your choice. Voters must properly wear their face mask or other face, nose, and mouth covering, maintain consistent 6 feet social distancing, and sanitize hands before entering the polling station. Having entered the polling station, the voter shows his voter identification card and announces his name in an audible voice. All voters will be required to temporarily remove their face mask or nose and mouth covering for the purpose of verifying the facial identity of the voter. The first poll clerk verifies the particular of the voter on the voters list, while the second poll clerk verifies the particulars in the binder. The voter's name is then ruled off the voters list. The voter is then required to show his right index finger to ensure that he has not yet voted. The voter's right index finger is then sanitized. Allow finger to dry for 5 seconds before dipping it up to the first joint in the indelible ink. The voter is then directed to the presiding officer, who then initials a ballot paper and issues it to the voter, along with a sanitized pencil. The voter then proceeds to the polling booth and marks a cross on the right-hand side of the ballot, opposite the name of the candidates of his choice. With the ballot paper folded to conceal the vote, the voter shows the presiding officer her initials, places the ballot paper inside the ballot box, and then places the pencil in the container for used pencil for resanitization. The voter then exits the polling station. Remember, you are permitted to vote in Belize City for 1 mayor and 10 councillors. In Belmopan City and Towns for 1 mayor and 6 councillors. Disabled, elderly, and pregnant women will be given priority. Electors are encouraged to take along their voter identification card to their polling station to facilitate the process. Your ballot paper will be considered void if it does not have the presiding officer's initials, if the voter has voted for more candidates than there are seats, if the ballot paper is not marked for any candidate, if the ballot paper contains any mark that can identify the voter, and if the ballot paper is unmarked or void for uncertainty. Let your decision be your choice. Always remember to follow all COVID-19 protocols to keep safe. A message brought to you by the Elections and Boundaries Department.
Belmopan, no better time than now. I am Ralston Fraser, Fraze for Mayor. I address you as your independent mayoral candidate with extensive experience. I have served you as councillor, as deputy mayor, as city administrator. As your mayor, I will stand with you. I will stand for you. I will not be pawn to any. On March 3rd, next week Wednesday, you can choose the good candidate. You can choose the better candidate. Or you can choose simply the best candidate to work with you. The power of history is in your pen. At the very bottom of your ballot paper, choose Ralston Fraser. Phrase for mayor. Simply the best candidate. No better time than now to be the change you seek. Thank you.
An angry mob assaulted a team of police officers in Pickstock, Hutment on Sunday night. The officers were in pursuit of a motorist who drove his vehicle into the area. When they were finally able to catch up with the driver, residents in the neighborhood became hostile with the policemen, preventing them from carrying out a search of the vehicle. The officers reportedly had no choice but to discharge rubber bullets to disperse the crowd. In the process, 2 persons were injured in the shooting. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams says that an investigation is underway.
Last night, the police in Belize City reported that they stopped a vehicle, and upon doing so, they were approaching the vehicle. When the driver of the vehicle sped off, he was pursued and eventually caught by the police. When he was caught in the area of Pickstock, as the police approached to try and conduct search of the vehicle, a mob descended on the police, and that forced the police officers to discharge some warning shots with rubber bullets. And apparently the rubber bullets ricocheted and bounced back and hit 2 persons. They were taken to the hospital, they were treated and released because the injuries was minor. Yes, the police are working to identify those persons who were involved, and yes, charges will be brought against some of them.
Today, when we went to the jungle area, we were told that the persons who were injured were at the hospital seeking medical treatment. But there we caught up with the mother of Delroy Cardenas. She tells News 5 that while her son was driving without a license, the police beatdown that followed was unwarranted.
My son indeed was driving the vehicle without a license, right? So he just parked by Victoria, because he look like they make a swim. So while he had Victoria, the vehicle pull up. But he done said that the police were launching nothing and beat up on. So what he did, he took the vehicle and he took the vehicle and hurricane through jungle and park, miss the con here, that if the police had beat up on all the residents and say, and that did happen. By the time he parked right there where you park, because the second is stored, he done say the police back on. Everybody say he can get on the ground, put up his hand back on, police go handcuff her, beat up her. For what reason, the police they call miss every time or beat up we do thing, they shoot, the legal get shoot by leg here. The young man hold just swallow, they pepper spray the baby with 5 months.
So how did all of that happen where persons were shot and stuff like that?
Me don't know what happened after when I saw they beat up my son down and everybody start to make noise and they look at the police what they tell them draw back and everybody they make noise so when they beat up the man for nothing and they handcuff. They say inside the police aiming at this, you know aiming this, me say aim direct. So my son all just move and you know what the news. 2 shot miss here. The shot miss gun the legal at the leg. Catch young man I draw you shot so the young man draw look. Mr. They don't make far with a human being. The leeway don't surrender. handcuff her, carry her miss, but not beat up her.
A 16-year-old girl has escaped what she reported as captivity in Placencia, where she says she was being forced to work against her will. In mid-January, the minor reported to police that a couple had been holding her against her will and had taken away her travel documents. She also alleged that she was living in a washroom on their property. An investigation was immediately launched, and it was later discovered that a South African national and a Guatemalan woman had in fact committed the crime of human trafficking. Assistant Commissioner of Police Joseph Maivet has additional details.
On the 14th of January, members of the police's anti-trafficking in persons unit received an information from a 16-year-old minor, and as a result, an investigation was carried out in Placencia village, where the home of one Jonathan Blitz, a 41-year South African, and that of Ana Lucrecia Ponce, 35 years Guatemalan, were visited and a search were conducted, where they were detained pending the investigation. And during the course of the investigation, it led police to prefer charges against them on the 24th of February for the crime of trafficking in persons for the purpose of labor, exploitation, to wit forced labor. What the minor actually reported that she was made to work for the two accused persons, where her documents were withheld and she was made to live in a washroom and was forced to work during the period. It's still an ongoing investigation, but both persons have appeared in court, and their matter was adjourned until the 22nd of June.
A team of officers on patrol near the border with Mexico busted a father and son duo smuggling a cache of contraband items, including canned beer, into Belize. When the officers gave chase and caught up with the driver of the van, he reportedly produced a machete. The officers fired at the father and son. And the son got into a physical altercation with another policeman.
Sometime around 5 a.m., our teams along the Belize-Mexico border were on a checkpoint when a van came and the officers tried to stop the van. The van, upon seeing the officers, sped off, and they ended up in a pursuit. Eventually, the van came to a stop near a curve, and the driver was ordered out of the vehicle. And upon doing so, he picked up a machete and opened the door for the van. He was told to drop the machete. He did not do so, and the officers fired one shot which caught him in the buttocks. He is currently in the Northern Regional Hospital undergoing treatment in a stable condition. The police and custom took possession of the van, and inside the van was fully loaded with assorted contraband goods. The individual was in the company of his son. His son is also detained because his son also assaulted the police. He punched one of the police in the face, causing severe swelling. So the son will be charged for assaulting the police.
The murder trial of Patrick Harris will proceed on Thursday in the Belize City Supreme Court after Justice Herbert Lord ruled today that the submissions made during a voir dire were not strong enough to throw the matter out. Harris's attorney, Oscar Salgado, had made several submissions last week over whether the court should allow the identification procedure that the police applied in its evidence gathering against Harris. Salgado's arguments raised last week included that his client had refused to be included in an identification parade and that his identification was made without his consent. But the prosecution, headed by Crown Counsel Portia Ferguson, argued that the police have a right as well to carry out a group identification, which is done differently from an ID parade. The Crown was able to convince the court that it carried out the identification by legitimate standards. The case will resume on Thursday when the prosecution is expected to call its first set of witnesses to testify. Harris is charged with the December 2016 murder of Dylan Greenidge in Sand Hill Village. The shakeup at the Belize Tourism Board continues, and Dr. Manzanero may be running out of options. These stories and more up next on News 5.
Preparing for the club, y'all gonna get it up like house. Yeah, the night is going fine. All the ladies on the dime like house. Let's chance and raise it up. No, we cannot get enough like house. Shine on with Lighthouse Lager.
Sangriga needs love. With Team Humphreys, Sangriga deserves development. And the people need love. So make we stay with the best. Sangriga first. So make we vote. Just make we vote. Make we stay. 'Cause the only way. People need help. We need betterment. In the culture capital of Belize. Development in our environment is the mission of the UDP team. Helping youth, supporting their programs, and scholarships for education. Oh, we need some true leaders, and the UDP team will work. So make we vote. Just make we vote. Make we stay. 'Cause the only way. Invest in culture and sports. Yes, the UDP team will support. Giving back to our community with honesty and integrity. Working as one people. Earn Lopez will serve the people. Albert Marshall said equality. Jake Gongora will work for we. Yes, under the leadership of Francis Humphreys, UDP provide opportunities. Gary Francisco, Alex Joseph, and Aurel Castillo will surely do their best. So make we vote. Just make we vote. Make we stay. 'Cause the only way.
The world as we know it has changed. Now, more than ever, local businesses need our support. Whether they're taking online orders, setting appointments, or taking reservations, our business customers depend on us for the best in business solutions, high-quality products, and reliable services to keep them connected to their customers, to keep their doors open. Digi is ready for this change, and we're committed to doing what it takes to ensure that businesses can remain profitable during this time. Digi is here, and you don't have to do this alone. Together, let's embrace the new and unlock all the waiting possibilities.
My name is Patrick Williams, and I am offering myself as a councillor candidate this coming municipal election. I have been working tirelessly around the city, tackling issues such as road maintenance, garbage disposal, and drainage work to allow flow of water. When elected, I can reassure work will continue throughout our city and improve the living conditions for all citizens. Belize City deserves better through transparency, integrity, and unity. On March 3rd, make the right choice by voting Patrick Williams from the Belize Progressive Party. This is a new generation of leadership, and change starts now.
The electronic temporary employment permit
TEP, is a newly designed system which allows persons to apply online for a worker's permit. The online TEP system is faster, more efficient, and user-friendly. Belizeans and foreign employers can apply for a temporary employment permit for a prospective foreign employee who qualifies for a post or vacancy. Step 1. Register. Go to the Ministry's website at mlgrd.gov.bz. Select Labor on the menu bar and click on Temporary Employment Permit. The web page for the Temporary Employment Permit application will load on your screen. Carefully read the instructions on the Welcome and Apply Now page. Click 1 to learn about who can apply for a temporary employment permit, and click 2 to examine the list of documents required. Enter a valid personal email address and click Submit. You will receive an email with instructions to validate your email address to continue with the process of registering an account. Step 2. Username and password. A sign up to apply for permits page will load on your screen. Enter your desired username, which should include letters, digits, and symbols only, and no spaces are allowed. Your password should contain at least 8 characters. Confirm your password and click Next to proceed to the next step. Step 3. Fill out particulars of employers. Select the options that best represent you, whether you are company/business, self-employed Belizean, or self-employed foreigner. Once the field of your selected option has been filled, click Sign Up. You will be directed to the confirmation page where you can review your submission. Once reviewed, click Confirm to complete your registration. Step 4. Upload documents. Log into the system by entering your username and password. You will now have access to upload the relevant documents to complete your profile. Carefully read the list provided on the right to guide you on the type of documents to upload. Please note that the maximum size of the document should be 10 MB. All documents must be in English, and documents must be in either PDF, zip, PNG, JPG, or JPEG. Choose a file to upload, then click Submit. Your profile has now been completed and all documents have been saved successfully. Step 5. Payment of fees. You will need to visit the Government of Belize Treasury Department to make payments for your administrative fees and stamp duty. Admin fees are $25 and stamp duty fees are 20 Belize dollars for a total of 45 Belize dollars. This fee is for each application you wish to submit. Once you validate your payments to the government's treasury, insert your receipt number and click Submit. Press on the Click Here to Apply button and this will take you to the new TEP page. Fill in each required field and click Submit. Congratulations! Your new TEP application has been created. Step 6. Schedule interview. The employer's portal allows the employer to make appointments for interviews. Click on the calendar. Select the date and time of your interview. On your screen, a notification will inform you that a labor officer will contact you to confirm your interview. A labor officer will review your application and will respond to you. You can view the status of your application throughout its life cycle and be notified of your application if it is approved or denied by clicking on My Application above. This completes the 6-step guide for applying for a temporary employment permit.
Did the previous board of the Belize Tourism Board dip into the pension fund to pay salaries last year? Allegations are that over $400,000 in pension funds was used for this purpose between July and November 2020. Current Chairman Evan Tillett tells News 5 that Tourism Director Karen Bevins and former BTB Chair Einar Gomez are not the only ones whose actions are facing scrutiny.
The
investigation is not only on the director, the investigation is of the pension plan and the monies that were used from the pension plan. Currently, we're in a position where we are getting legal advice on the matter, and as soon as we get that legal advice, then obviously we'll make a decision on the way forward.
Sir, what has been unearthed, because I understand that you're heading the investigation, what has been unearthed so far as to what happened with the pension fund?
Well, basically, because it's under investigation and we're awaiting legal advice, then I cannot give you that information at this time. So once we get that information, we'll definitely share that with the media.
Sir, multiple persons involved in what I understand is being deemed as the mismanagement of that pension fund?
Well, it is a pension fund that's run by trustees. And so the trustees is made up of the director, the then chairman, and employees from the board. So those are the 4 people that we're looking at.
During a media mixer this weekend, Prime Minister Jean-Brice Senior, Tourism Minister Anthony Moller, and CEO Nicole Usher Solano, as well as senior staff from the Belize Tourism Board, were all in attendance. But visibly absent were Marketing Director Misty Michael and Tourism Director Karen Bevins. As the new leadership embarks on its strategy to return the industry to a sense of normalcy, News 5 asked if Bevins is still actively involved in the process.
We're focused on the digital side of the marketing right now, and we think that will help us to reach where we need to in order to get heads in beds.
Is her absence from here a testament or a reflection of what is happening at the BTB? Is she a part of this strategy?
She is still gainfully employed at the board.
Yeah, but is she involved in the decision making, in making sure that whatever?
She is still gainfully employed at the board, and she comes to work every single day.
As previously reported, a 5-year contract totaling $1.2 million was signed between the previous UDP administration and the tourism director Karen Bevins back in April of 2019. The Ministry of Health and Wellness remains without an active Director of Health Services. The substantive holder of the position, Dr. Marvin Manzanero, was placed on administrative leave last Tuesday, pending investigation into alleged misconduct. The acting DHS, Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, abandoned the post last week. Minister of Health and Wellness Michelle Shabat says that the duties of the DHS has been split among a group of persons, including the Deputy Director of Health Services, as the country continues its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic that has to date claimed 314 lives in Belize. But back to Dr. Manzanero. What happens when the administrative leave expires on Tuesday? Does he then return to office? Here's how Minister Shabat answered that question.
The ministry does not depend on one individual to function, okay? It does not. And we have a group of people there who have been working and who are working to make sure that this plan is put into effect. Dr. Manzanero has been given several options, and it is for him to decide which option he wants. Whichever option he decides to go with, he will have his full salary. He will have all of the benefits that he enjoyed as Director of Health Services.
Dr. Manzanero was placed on a 5-day administrative leave. That expires, I believe, tomorrow. What happens next with him? Does he come back to work then on Wednesday with one of those options, you know, in terms of position, or does he then go on an extended?
Well, there is a process. There is a process, and the process must be followed through. Dr. Manzanero knows very well what the options are before him, and so it is a matter for him to determine what he's going to do.
According to the process, Dr. Manzanero will have 10 days from tomorrow to respond to the allegations brought against him. When the investigation is complete, if there is any evidence of wrongdoing, the file goes before the Public Service Commission for a final determination. Of note is that if there is no evidence of misconduct, Dr. Manzanero may return to the Ministry of Health and Wellness, but only after taking one of the options offered to him by the new administration. After the break, cruise tourism may be poised for a rebound, but will Belizean operators still get their piece of the pie?
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets, authentic GE and Square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect the wires inside your home from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Welcome to Belize Medical Associates. As we embrace the new normal, we aim to do everything possible to ensure that our patients and staff remain safe. We not only ensure that everyone sanitizes upon entrance, but we also do temperature checks and screening, as well as daily sanitization of the entire compound. Your health and safety are paramount. With over 30 years' experience in providing healthcare, we strive to remain the leader in expert quality care by offering over 26 experienced doctors that provide specialist clinics, as well as a fully stocked pharmacy with a qualified and courteous staff that is ready to serve you. You can now refill your prescriptions by sending a photo of it via WhatsApp to 653-1042 and pick up the following day. Or you can take advantage of our curbside pickup service. We boast not only a fully digital imaging center with the most modern technology in our MRI and CT scan services, but also one of the most accurate and efficient laboratory services in Belize with our state-of-the-art instrumentation and qualified personnel. Having recently acquired the MindRay BS480 clinical chemistry analyzer, this fully automated equipment has the capacity to conduct over 500 tests per hour, a first of its kind not only in Belize, but the entire Caribbean. At BMA, we stand ready to serve you. Our ICU and trauma units remain fully equipped and functional as we continue to provide 24-hour emergency care. Call us at 223-0303. We at Belize Medical Associates encourage all to keep the faith and remain vigilant in our fight against this pandemic. We will get through this together. Belize Medical Associates. We do care.
Do you know what is the COVID-19 vaccine? The COVID-19 vaccine provides support to help your body develop immunity to the virus that causes COVID-19 without us having to get the illness. It is safe and very effective. How does the COVID-19 vaccine work? Different types of vaccines work in different ways to offer protection. But with all types of vaccine, the body is left with a supply of memory that will remember how to fight the virus in the future. It typically takes a few weeks for the body to produce the antibodies after the vaccination. Types of vaccines. Currently, there are different types of vaccines. Each type of vaccine prompts our bodies to recognize and protect us from the virus that causes COVID-19. None of these vaccines can give you COVID-19. Some of the vaccines are Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna. Both are RNA types, part of the virus genetic code. They both need 2 doses. Sputnik V and AstraZeneca both are viral type, genetic modified virus. They both need 2 doses. Do I still need to practice safety measures after being vaccinated? Yes. you need to continue wearing your mask, washing hands, and practicing physical social distance. The vaccine reduces the severity of the COVID-19 infection. There is also evidence that the vaccine reduces transmission of the COVID-19 virus.
Hello? Okay, sure, I'll be there.
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's twice as nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
Tourism has been the hardest hit industry when it comes to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Millions of dollars have been lost from the industry that once contributed up to 40% of GDP. Some properties have had to close their doors for months on end or are on the verge of bankruptcy, while thousands of tourism workers have lost their employment. The Minister of Tourism spoke about consultations with both the public and private sector and a task force to help reignite the industry.
National Tourism Recovery Task Force with people from the private sector and some from the public sector. And we've had a thorough discussion on all aspects of tourism. And what we've created out of those meetings is a tourism stabilization and recovery document that I will present to Cabinet whenever the next Cabinet is, sometime next week or the week after. And that covers everything from airline development, marketing, training, looking at Belize as a competitive destination, the legislations that drive tourism, some simulation plans or stimulus plans, and how just overall that we can put together the pieces that we can rebuild tourism on our way back to about 1.5, 1.6 million in arrivals when you combine overnight and cruise.
Stakeholders in the tourism industry have invested their life savings into their respective businesses, and a number have gone belly up. Minister Muller speaks of help from the Inter-American Development Bank to facilitate a small grants program.
We have a small grants program that we want to begin to unleash within the next few weeks or so. That is supported by the IDB, and we have somewhere around $2.5, maybe $3 million, whereby we can assist the small hotel and micro enterprises within the industry to get back on track to make some necessary investments as they need. We're continuously discussing new airlifts to the country, and so we're excited about a new route from Seattle and another route from Mexico, and hopefully those come online or on stream rather quickly. But we're also talking to the legacy operators who have been here for a while, and we're trying to get back as many routes as possible.
But what about cruise tourism? Up until the COVID-19 pandemic, over 1 million cruise ship passengers would come to the Jewel annually. That came to a screeching halt last year, but tonight there's both good and bad news. The good news is that cruise tourism will restart in late May, early June. The bad news is that the international cruise stakeholders are only going to be working with specific tour operators and sites. Minister Muller says the limitation will be only for a few months.
Cruise tourism is important for the Belize district and for down south. Just recently, I had a discussion with Michelle Page and the FCCA, and initially they were looking at somewhere around October and November to begin cruising to Belize and in this part of the world. I have good news. They're now talking about the end of May and early June to begin cruising in this part again. And so we're working on the protocols with the Port Authority, the Ministry of Health, and all the other partners to ensure that we're a safe destination when cruising starts again. From my discussions with the FCCA, they're saying that it is going to be a phased approach. They're going to, for a short period, work in a bubble, and then they're going to roll out rather quickly. So maybe for a month or so, the cruise lines coming to Belize will operate in a bubble, meaning that they have to work with a specific tour operator and other destinations in the country or sites in the country. But that won't last too long. I've signaled to them and I've articulated to them that we can't have so many people in the industry who have invested over time not being able to participate. And they understand that. So that is not going to last too long, this operation in a bubble.
There are also discussions about the reopening of land borders, but only to facilitate tourists entering the country for vacation, not Belizeans traveling to Mexico or Guatemala for business or leisure. An amendment to the Central Bank Act is before the Senate that, when passed, will make available $50 million to invest into the productive sector. Prime Minister John Brisenia says the tourism industry is the primary target group because it will also help to generate foreign currency, which has been depleting since the start of the pandemic.
This is pretty much what the Federal Reserve in the United States did when the market crashed in 2008, that they could have access to all of this cash and then put it into the system, lend it to banks and to businesses so that they can continue to operate and keep alive until things are stabilized. Well, we're doing the same thing. We have already amended the Central Bank Act. Well, we've passed it in the House, and now it is in the Senate. The Senate should have already passed it, but the last time when it was presented, a few senators were asking for more time because they wanted to study it and to better understand what is it that we're attempting to do. We're going to use $10 million from central government and $40 million from central bank. And that $50 million is going to be made available through the lending agencies, the National Bank of Belize, the DFC, or any other organization that would want to be able to have access to this money. But this money is going to be targeted. It's going to be targeted to industries and businesses that create jobs and create foreign currency. And so the tourism industry is going to be a priority of what we want to target.
Coming up, police remind the public to keep their distance on municipal election day and night.
Are you traveling? Effective January 26, all passengers traveling internationally will need to get tested no more than 3 days before you travel to the United States, and show your negative result to the airline before you board your flight. Here at Caring Hands Clinic in San Pedro, we administer the antigen test, frequently referred to as a rapid test. Our products are CDC compliant and FDA approved. Testing has never been this easy. With our highly certified and licensed medical staff, we provide you with an accurate test result in minutes, making your experience fast, safe, and easy. To book your appointments today, contact us on any of our hotlines at 671-TEST or 672-TEST, 226-FAST, or our Vonage line at 305-420-6203. Book your appointments online at www.belizecovidtest.com. Caring Hands Clinic Antigen Test Center. We're pleased to serve you.
Why, Tony?
Boy, kid, what you going on, man?
But actually, see, we can need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because they run low.
Boy, I stopped importing things since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out to the last batch, must be about like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What is going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. A pandemic means the virus is everywhere, but it might not be everywhere at the same time. If there are no cases in your area, it does not mean that there will never be cases in your area. Here's what you can do to delay the spread of COVID-19 in your community. Stay home unless it's absolutely necessary for you to go out. Practice physical distancing when you leave home. Wash your hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough and cold, or flu-like symptoms. Obey quarantine, isolation, and curfew rules. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands. Help keep Belize safe.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
The Elections and Boundaries Department is handling the logistics of the municipal elections on Wednesday, as well as the by-election in Corozal Bay. Both mass parties are responsible for mobilizing their supporters and getting them to and from the polls as efficiently as possible. But in these COVID times, the role of the Belize Police Department is equally important. A new statutory instrument has come into effect, and the 10 o'clock curfew remains in place. On March 3rd, however, everyone, save for police officers and persons working the elections, is expected to be indoors by 8 p.m. It's a restriction on movement that has been put in place once before, but was it successful in mitigating the spread of COVID-19? According to Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, the department will do everything to discourage social gatherings across the country.
Under the new SI, it clearly outlined that while the curfew is from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., on election day the curfew is from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And so again, the rationale behind that is to ensure that we will be able to contain those persons who may want to be in a celebratory mood after the results of the election has been announced. The police will be out in full force to ensure that there is no mass gathering. We do not want people to be in large numbers gathering all over the place, and we do not want people to be in large numbers celebrating. And so we call upon the general public to please adhere to the rules. The regulations remain in force in terms of social events, in terms of crowds, and in terms of wearing of masks, and in terms of social distancing. Even as it relates to the polling stations and inside the polling stations, the polling areas and inside the polling stations, you will see that there will be markers there where people will be allowed to stand 6 feet from each other. And again, that is to ensure that we comply with the regulations.
So what will the police department be doing differently this time around? On the night of November 11th, following the general elections, officers were powerless in containing throngs of party supporters who took to the streets. Police say they do not plan to let this happen again.
We saw where the enforcement was not as rigid as we would have wanted it to be on election day. But we must understand that this time is a smaller scale election in the sense that this does not affect the rural areas, it's only the urban areas. And so in terms of mobilizing people, it will not be as strong as general election. Nonetheless, we will ensure that we do what we can do to be able to contain the situation. But we also call on the political parties to play their role in speaking to the people so as not to have them come out in large numbers and with a view to try and celebrate. So we're hoping that that will be able to work.
Did someone say bingo? The first jackpot winner for Mega Bingo collected his winnings today. Mr. Harrison is sharing the winnings with two others who have yet to come forward. Each person gets a little over $225,000 before taxes. The total jackpot was almost $676,000. Harrison purchased his lucky ticket at Havana Pharmacy in Tancrega, but collected his check at the Mega Bingo office in Belize City today. If you still have not checked your numbers from Saturday night's drawing, please do so. You might be one of the winners. The Mega Bingo jackpot starts over again at $100,000. And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at News 5 Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.